to the beatdown once again because it's the Logan Summit Show! And I am your fearless host, Logan Summit. Today, we are graced with presents today. Yes, lots of presents because it's my birthday, and we are graced with the presence of a lovely young lady named Jazmin Villa! Jazmin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. And happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you very much. You are much, much younger than I am. I turned 47 years old today. I know. I can't believe I actually did it once again. But here we are. So let's get down to that beatdown. And you will be bringing that ground and pound and all that fun to Subs on the Shore June 21st, right around the corner. Your opponent is Katarina Calvados. All right, what do you know about Katarina, and how have you prepared for this fight?
I actually got this fight offered really last minute. I found out about it, I think, on Monday this week. So just my regular training has been in place. So that's what I'm going off of.
All right, well, a fighter always has to be ready to fight. Now, making weight, is that going to be an issue for you?
I No, absolutely not. I believe I was told that this fight will be between 145 and 155. I always fight at 145, so I believe I'll be fighting up a weight class, which is no problem to me. I've dropped about 2 weight classes since I started jiu-jitsu, so not an issue for me.
And when did you start training jiu-jitsu?
I started training jiu-jitsu in about October of 2023.
Did you start out in kickboxing or Muay Thai and then get into jiu-jitsu, or did you just jump on in?
No, so actually I wrestled in high school and in college, but just at a community college. And after that, I stopped for a couple years, and I missed the sport, but wrestling for adults really isn't a thing unless you're like in the Olympics or something. So I found out more about jiu-jitsu and found a gym in my area that I was interested in, and that's how I started.
Now, wrestling in high school as a female, what was that like?
I have it was not fun, to be honest. Like, I love the sport in of itself, but being the only woman on a team is oftentimes very difficult. There were times where I was put in extremely uncomfortable and even dangerous situations, just being around that many like males. Um, but it also gave me a lot of like inner strength to like really stand my ground against them.
Besides the inner strength, is there one thing that you can pull away from your time as a female wrestler in high school that has helped you in your fight game today?
Oh, absolutely. There was a girl who had wrestled the year previous to me, and she had made it to state. And I remember she used to go into our practices and specifically help me. And I remember she had told me that there was a woman who came into practices that had wrestled previously and helped her train. And she told me she wanted to pay it forward. So that kind of stuck with me. And actually, after that, I started coaching wrestling a little bit on my own, because I wanted to pay it forward too, because I felt really empowered after that.
That's awesome. How has coaching taught you to be a better fighter?
I think like having to break down everything step by step really makes you think about what you're actually doing rather than just doing it. So kind of slowing down my technique and perfecting it.
Perfection takes practice. Perfect practice for perfection, as John Wooden might say out there in UCLA land. Now, you're from the Bay Area in California. As a woman, how hard is it to find training partners and a gym that suits you?
So I was actually one of 2 girls that was in my training classes. There was just me and one other woman. So it's been fairly difficult, but recently my schedule changed, so I was able to attend a different time of classes. And there was about 6 women that I now train with, and that has been super helpful to me. Because fighting a woman is completely different than fighting a male counterpart.
All right, explain that a little bit further. No one's ever really broken it down for us on the Logan Summit show. What is the major difference between fighting a female and fighting a male?
Fighting a male, most of the time, it's either one or the other. They're very technical and use no strength against you because they're very respectful, which I also appreciate because I can use my technique against these men, even if they're bigger and stronger than me. And other times, it's like if I am more technical than them and actually beating them, they use their what I call man strength against me, and it turns into just like violence other than jujitsu, which can be really scary. So I feel like it's from one extreme to another.
Yeah, no, that is one extreme to another. Now, are there any men in your gym that you've made shed tears into their fiery Cheetos after practice?
I don't believe so, but I've definitely made men upset and made them use their men's strength against me.
Well, wait till you start getting a little bit older and you get somebody around 31, 32 years old, because then they get old man strength. And that's something you don't even want to muck with at all. Now, you are currently 1-3-0 with your record. You're coming off of some hard fought battles. What have you done? What have you changed in your training regimen to secure that victory at Subs on the Shore coming up just around the corner on June 21st?
I guess just consistency in my training. I work full time. I'm a nurse, and that makes it really difficult for me to train. So going back into like setting a routine for myself is really, really important for myself. I work 12, so I'm off for 3 days or 2 days in a row at a time. So just making those days really, really count.
Now, you talked about technique and strength earlier. Do you believe that technique overcomes strength every time, or does that man strength, as you said, or some of that other strength really come into play?
I guess both. It depends on how strong a person is, but I do think that technique has a big, big advantage towards strength because if you can get a one up on somebody who's significantly larger than you, they still won't be able to take you down. But it has happened to me where somebody uses their strength to overpower me, like especially when I'm in the bottom position and they just take complete control just by simply putting their weight or their strength on me.
All right. So basically, when you go in to train, do you train the fighter or do you just train yourself for the fight?
I guess I trained myself for the fight.
All right. So Katarina, coming up on June 21st, you're going to be fighting her. Is there anything that you know in her game, holes that you've seen or been told from your coaches that you're going to be able to exploit and get your hand raised at the end of the day?
Not necessarily, but I know what to watch out for. I've been told she's really good at straight ankles and arm bars, so maybe avoiding like being in a closed guard and having my ankles exposed is going to be really important for this match.
Now, growing up as a female fighter, who are some of the fighters that you looked up to?
Um, I I can't name any in particular, but just the other people I train with, honestly. I train with women of all ages from 15 to their 50s. And I really look up, especially to the older fighters, because I want to be in their shoes someday. Um, yeah.
Respect your elders. I get that. I understand that. Trust me. It's my birthday and I'm holding back the tears right now. All right. So I would like you to make a prediction on what is going to happen when you face off against Katarina Calvatis, June 21st on Subs on the Shore, which is available on pay-per-view right here on millions.co. How's it going to go down, Jazmin?
I believe we're gonna start by just basic standing, and I'm thinking I'm gonna wait for her to make her first move to see what she goes with. Um, I can see myself like keeping control for the first like minute or so before taking it to the ground. Um, And yeah, I think somebody's gonna go for legs, honestly.
All right, so that's how it's going to go. We'll see who can sprawl the best. Hopefully, that wrestling background will propel you towards a victory and you can get to the right side or closer to the right side of a winning record for yourself. Now, it's their time up there. It's our time down here, Jazmin. This is your time. You can talk about anything you like. You can talk about your dogs, your video games, your sponsors that you have, sponsors that you want. Thank your mom for all I care. This is your time. Go right ahead.
I guess I want to talk about this is something that's fairly interesting when I talk about it. Like people will literally gather around and be like, "Oh my god, like tell me more." Is that I've been training jiu-jitsu since October of 2023 like I mentioned earlier. And the only break I've taken during that time was when I faced an injury and broke my jaw. Most people hear that and they think that I broke my jaw like actively doing jiu-jitsu, but it actually happened while I was on vacation and horseback riding.
Wow.
I ended up taking a couple of kicks to the face and breaking my jaw in 3 areas. And I was told by the surgeon who put titanium plates in my face that I wouldn't be able to continue my sport for at least a year. And that broke my heart. I was grateful that I would still be able to do it, but it broke my heart that I wasn't going to be able to do it for a year.
No, God. I get it. I totally get that. But now that you've been kicked in the face by a horse, is there anything that these ladies are going to be able to throw at you that's going to scare you?
So actually, I dealt with, I guess I would say a little bit of PTSD after that incident where I'm getting smashed in the face has been really difficult for me to continue working through that. But then I have to remind myself, like, I could handle a horse. I can handle literally anybody, even the biggest man. And it's not going to be as bad as a 1,000-pound animal.
All right, since you're sharing, let me share with you. When I was 6 years old, I was on a horse, probably was a pony, but it was a horse to me because I was small then. And the horse got stung by a bee and went into full gallop. And the only thing that kept my head off the ground, because it was literally this close to the ground in full gallop, was I was tangled up in the reins.
Oh my.
And finally, they're able to get the horse to stop. I was holding on for dear life, and we got in the car, and my mom looked at me, and she goes, "It's okay, sweetie. If you don't want to go to lessons next week, you don't have to." And I looked at her, shot her the nastiest look a 6-year-old could shoot at their mother, and I said, "I don't want to do that again. Ever again. Mom, I'm not doing that again." I probably didn't swear, but I definitely didn't want to get back up onto the horse. And they always say you got to get back up on the horse. Well, you know what? A horse is a horse, of course. And that horse can chill the out for a little bit, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm sure you felt the same way. But going through that, I'm sure has made you a stronger person mentally. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Like I said, I was told that I wasn't going to be able to do this sport for a year, and that really like struck a nerve with me. But I actually ended up only taking about 3 months off and coming right back to it. But right off the bat, I dealt with like feeling the pressure on my face and feeling like I was freaking out to being able to work through that and kind of bring myself back and calm myself down during a fight if I'm feeling any pressure in the area.
And I'm sure being able to calm yourself in that moment has helped you overall just become a more calm fighter, because those adrenaline dumps are for real, and they can really overtake a fight before you've even stepped in the ring. So have you learned meditation or visualization? How have you helped yourself through this time?
So I noticed that when I start to freak out, I do become like a bit spazzy and I try to explode out of positions. I try to remind myself like this isn't like this is a person my size. I'm gonna be okay whether I win or lose. I'm not gonna die. And that's able to really bring me back and focus.
Well, focosity is a good thing, and you're going to need that focus on Subs on the Shore, June 21st, right here, available on pay-per-view on Millions.co. And with that, it's time to play the game that all the kids are talking about on the playground, and it's time to play the game that all the adults are talking about around the water cooler. It's time for 5 questions. 5 questions is, of course, brought to you by Newer. If you're a pro creator or an amateur creator, it doesn't matter what type of creator you are, go on over to newer.com. Use code Logan to save yourself that do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. Do. Everybody could use a couple bucks in their pocket. And if you're a creator, you owe it to yourself to go over to newer.com. Use code Logan. All right. Question number 1 for Jazmin in the house. Going to battle on June 21st on Subs on the Shore. Here we go. You've already touched on this, but let's get a little bit deeper. Let's do a deeper dive here. What advice would you give to female athletes out there getting started in any type of sport?
Maybe to, let's see. Let me think about this one. I would probably tell a woman to never give up. I know there's oftentimes like situations where you leave class and you feel really defeated because you literally get beat up by everybody. Just keep showing up and it will pay off.
Well, they say showing up is 80% of success, right? Just being in the house and ready to work and learn will propel you towards victory. So that is great advice. Whether you're male, female, they or them, that's just solid advice right there. Question number 2. You do any of those silly TikTok dances?
No, I don't.
I was really hoping you were going to be able to teach me a dance. Can you teach me how to Dougie real quick?
I can't, honestly. I have 2 left feet.
So there's no dances that you can teach me. I'm an old guy. I'm trying to learn new tricks over here.
Not that one.
All right. You know what? Next time you're on the show, you'll teach me how to do a Darce choke. How about that?
Yeah, I can do that.
It's one of my faves, by the way. All right. Here we go. Question number 3. What is the biggest misconception of female combat fighters?
I guess. Let's see here. I guess that we're weaker than men. I think, like, even if we're physically not as strong as a male, I think mentally we have to be tougher as women in order to stay in this sport, especially because it is male dominated.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. All right. Question number 4, moving on. By the way, are you in a hospital or a gym right now?
I'm in a gym right now.
All right, because by those screams, it's hard to tell which is which right now. I just got to be honest.
A Mario Party tournament right now, so that's probably the screams you hear.
I got my party hat on, and I wasn't invited to the Mario Party? Oh, that's it. I'm taking my ball and my bat, and I'm going home. Interview over. Mario Party is a heck of a game. I used to have wine and cheese Mario parties during the pandemic because I lived in an apartment building and we just have people over, wine and cheese Mario partying it up. That was a great way to kill some time during the pandemic. I'll tell you that much. All right. Question number 4. Ariana Grande or Sabrina Carpenter?
Sabrina Carpenter.
Wow, didn't even have to think about it. So you're not a fan of Wicked then? No. Did you grow up with Nickelodeon?
I actually did, but I watched Wicked and I fell asleep.
I won't watch it either, but that's just because I don't want to.
I didn't want to either, but I did it for somebody else.
Oh, you know what? You're a good partner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff right there. That's like when my friend, who I went to college with, owned a bar, and I went to go visit him, and he's like, "Hey, man, I know you love pop culture and TV shows and stuff." He's like, "You really got to watch True Blood." And I was like, "Sorry, what did you just say?" And he's like, "True Blood, you got to watch it." I go, "Yeah." So you're watching that with your girlfriend, aren't you? And he goes, yeah. I go, yeah. So I should definitely watch that by myself. No. Well, yeah, I'm not doing that. I haven't seen any of the Twilights either. I got enough glitter on my clothes from the strip club.
You're missing out.
That's what they tell me. So some of my younger friends tell me I would really like Twilight, and I'm like, no.
You have to not take it seriously, and it'll be like comedic joy for you.
All right, comedic joy. I like that. Now, what do you like about Sabrina Carpenter? Because you were so definite in your answer right there.
I love how brave she is with like her album covers and the things that she sings about in her songs, and they're just catchy. And she's not a homewrecker like Ariana.
Oh, I like it. We definitely like that. Yeah, Sabrina says, please, mother. I'm just saying, she says some things that you don't necessarily think is going to come from this tiny little woman, but she is fierce, right?
Yeah.
Now, is there a Sabrina Carpenter song that you would listen to get you pumped up for a fight? Is there something in her catalog that speaks to you?
Probably not. I listen to very different music when I'm prepping, like mentally for a fight. So as much as I love her, she probably wouldn't be in my fight playlist.
So, what music is in your fight playlist?
Mm, I have like songs that pump me up. That like I don't know, like corridos. I don't know if you know what that is.
Hey, I go to Broad Acres around here, so I've probably heard it, but I'm not it. I'm not exactly familiar with it. Why don't you give me a little background?
So like I'm between corridos and like Spanish rap music that
Okay.
really gets me like hyped up. So like Santa Fe Clan or Peso Pluma, or Tito Doble P are some of the main artists I listen to when I'm like mentally preparing for a fight.
Well, I do have a hat that says "I love tortas." If that means anything to you, I'm just saying. If you know, you know. All right, I'm just saying. All right, let's get to question number 5 of 5 questions. Jasmine, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, by the way. I hope you've had fun. Last question. It's a doozy. This is a big one. Dana White once said that females will never fight in the UFC. Now look where we are. Do you think Dana White is biting his tongue a little bit?
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially with all the progression we've made, even specifically for jujitsu, especially with like Helena Cravar making her face known. I think he should take a back seat on this one.
Well, do you think the rise of women's wrestling, WWE pro wrestling, has helped women in other combat sports?
I do believe so because they have a huge fan base. It's, I guess not really in WWE, but like in New Japan Pro Wrestling,
Ooh, look
they
at
respect their
you.
women so much, and I think that that in itself helps.
New Japan is some really good stuff. So, hold on a second. Have you been watching pro wrestling your entire life?
Not my whole life. I did watch it briefly as a kid, and I remember as a kid wanting to be like my dream was to be a WWE diva. Not really a thing anymore, but still like in the pro wrestling scene. I recently, well, like a year ago, I met this guy, and now he's my partner. And he started taking me to indie shows, and it kind of like reignited the spark of wanting to do pro wrestling or just like get my face out there, whether it's in jiu-jitsu or MMA or in pro wrestling. It kind of like sparked me up again.
Well, I used to be a wrestling manager.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. Back in the day when I was a teenager with just a little bit of gold in a pager. I used to be a wrestling manager, NWA, a little bit of ECW. I traveled around the indies. I even made a Pro Wrestling Illustrated's Top 500 one year. Now, I have a wrestling promo that I can, even to this day, that I can just spit. Did you ever sit in front of the mirror when you wanted to be a diva back in the day and talk to the mirror and do promos?
I haven't done that just yet, but I definitely like have picked. I have like pretended to do like a walkout.
All right. Well, we can't do the walkout right now, but give me your best diva impression for a
uh,
promo for Subs on the Shore for June 21st.
Honestly, I can't think of one. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I put you on the spot. Not everybody can do a wrestling promo when you ask them to, okay? Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not the first to bow down. I've asked a few people because wrestling does come up, pro wrestling in particular does come up from time to time here. So I get it. I get it. But Katarina is going to bow to your will or some crap like that. It's been nothing but a pleasure having you here. And once again, Jazmin Villa will be fighting on June 21st right here on Millions.co, part of Subs on the Shore. And Jazmin, I wish you nothing but the best of luck. I hope you come back before your next fight and we talk about your victory and how you're moving up and your trajectory just keeps going upwards and onwards to bigger and better things. Jazmin, thank you for your time today.
Thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this.
Hey, not a problem. I do
Especially
have
on your
one.
birthday.
Right on my birthday. I've got one more interview later on today. We're going to check in with Hunter Lee, formerly of the Canadian Olympic wrestling team, now a pro MMA fighter who no one wants to fight because they find out that he was on the Olympic squad and they're like, all right, no, I'm good. I'm good, bro. I'm good. They look at his record and he was like 3-0 or 2-0. And they're like, oh, yeah, I'll take that fight. Then they do a little bit of research and they back out. He's had 2 fighters now not get on a plane to Canada. And it's not because of the tariffs are too high, I'll tell you that much.
That sucks because honestly, it's a privilege to be able to fight somebody at that caliber.
Right? You know what? You might learn something.
Yeah.
Oh, don't do that. All right. Well, it all goes down June 21st right here on Millions.co. Subs on the shore. Jazmin will be there. You should be there. I'll be there. And until next time, a little bit later on in the day when we check in with Hunter Lee, do me a favor. Be good to yourself and be kind to others. Pay it forward, play it forward. Rock like a party star. Party like a rock star. Smile strong, laugh loud. And last but not least, please like, follow, and subscribe so you'll know when I'll be back doing my thing. And Jazmin, once again, thanks for being here. And don't forget, everyone loves a good fight. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.